The Lost Book of King Og, Chapter 5, The Final Battle with Nimrod. There's an editor's note here I'm going to read. All known copies of the Lost Book of King Og have a break-in text at this point. The speculation is that because it is the first chapter directly after the flood, that somehow record-keeping was lax in some way. Interesting things happen at this point of the text. In a sense, the struggle between the two transcribers of this tome ends. Enoch, who is the original transcriber, has his death marked in Chapter 4. And from this point on in the book, the tone changes, and this is because of the new transcriber, Ansel. Though Ansel must have transcribed most, if not all, of the 100,000 Giant War, which introduces the idea that perhaps there was yet a third transcriber of King Og's words. And most of Chapter 5 is missing. Fortunately, King Og's final physical battle with Nimrod has been recorded, as you will see. To this end, we apologize for this heavy break in both continuity and translation. Outside of the death of Nimrod, the key factor of this chapter is that both King Og and his son Ogyas participating in the killing of Nimrod. This leaves both chapters 6 and 7 with the question of which Og is the story now following. This almost answers the question of King Og's ridiculous longevity, because the timeline could very well be split between King Og and his warrior son. The final battle between King Og and Nimrod. Blind with rage, attacked Nimrod hip and thigh with great power, and King Og grabbed for Nimrod by his twice-ruined genitals. And broken text, fruit from a vine, blood pits, Nimrod became slick and unable to hold. And Nimrod reached forward and blinded Og, pulling the jelly from the socket. Og, wounded, retreated. Nimrod stood over King Og, taunting and singing, saying the following: "You need knowledge, King Og, and here it is. To know evil and instruction, to perceive the words of understanding, to receive the instruction of evil, justice, judgment, and equity, to give prudence to the simple, to the young giant, knowledge and weaponry. A wise giant will hear and increase learning, and a giant of understanding will attain wicked counsel. To understand an incantation and an enigma, the world of the wise and their riddles. The fear of circumcision is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise evil and instruction. My giant, hear the instruction of circumcision, and do not forsake the law of your member, for they will be a graceful ornament on your head, and chains about your neck. My giant, if the uncircumcised entice you, do not consent. If they say, 'Come with us, let us lie in wait to shed circumcised blood, let us lurk secretly for the circumcised without cause. Let us swallow them alive like Mott, and whole like those who go down to dwell with him. We shall find all kinds of precious possessions. We shall fill our houses with spoil. Cast your lot among the uncircumcised. Let us all have one purse. My giant, do not walk in the way with them. Keep your foot from the uncircumcised path, for their feet run to bad ideas, and they make haste to keep the skins on their own members. Surely in vain the net is spread, but they lay in wait for their own blood. They lurk secretly in their own lives. So are the ways of the uncircumcised, who are greedy for gain. It takes away the life of its owners." And upon hearing this, Og cried out to Baal of the moon, saying, "Nimrod has smitten me, and my race is so low, so low. He has taken your gift, the moon child, and he has defied you ever since, with false prophecies and lies upon lies. And now he has taken my eye. If the moon child was sacred to you as she was to me, please give me back my eyesight." At that moment, a beam from the moon shone onto the hollowness of King Og's empty eye socket, and it filled with the moon's glow. From then on, Og's eye was refilled. And then Og attacked and subdued Nimrod. Og stood above Nimrod and screamed, "Ogyas, I require that you partake in the end of the circumcision." Then Ogyas entered the blood pit of Baal of the earth. And Ogyas stepped forward and pulled at the head and skull of Nimrod as King Og pulled at the ankles. And Nimrod's neck gave first, and Ogyas wrenched it free. And as Nimrod's flesh tore, he gave up the ghosts and was eaten with worms. And Ogyas and King Og, in celebration, the great dragon of old, the pit and fire in preparation. Well, we all know what those words say. Chapter 6, Prophecy of Bashan's Rule. Chapter 6, as told by Anzul, the slayer of the smaller selves before Baal of the moon. It came to pass that the kingdom and army of Og fasted before their march to Bashan. On the 5th day of fasting, the whole of Og's encampment was covered in smoke, and fire came down. The fire struck the sacrifices in the high places, because Baal of the sun and Baal of the earth were there. The ground of the temple and the paths leading to it became charged on the 5th day with the presence of Baal of the earth and Baal of the sun. Many Rephaim attempted to climb the hill at the time of Og's prophecy, and were struck dead with fire when they touched the charged ground. Oh, yeah. On that day in the temple of Baal of the earth, Og received the prophecy. On that day Og's eyes whitened, and he fell into the solemn forecaster trance. King Og of the temple became Baal of the earth's medium. On that day Og's voice became as that of iron, so that all that were near were struck by it. Og, king of the Rephaim, survivor of the great waters, killer of Nimrod and born of the priesthood of Baal of the moon, spoke the words of Baal. Og spoke the prophecy before the march to Bashan. The prophecy of the rules and wrath of Baal and the curses upon the barriers of Bashan, do they not follow as spoken by Og and transcribed by Anzul, the slayer of smaller selves? Do they still have those barriers around Bashan? Baal of the earth agrees with this vessel, King Og proceeding. Honor the high places that worship Baal of the earth. Only the priests will be admitted to the high places. Anyone that has touched the mount or its border, whosoever touches it as he lives, will surely be sacrificed to Baal of the earth. Before he is burned, he will be stoned and run through with a spear. The testimony of such deaths will be kept in the high places of worship. The high places of worship will be covered with gold inside and out, with a gold crown and a rim or border around the top. Rings will be attached to the outer walls for worship chains and bracelets, and staves will be put into the rings for the Rephaim to carry the high place to its next resting place in Bashan. Never forget the unspoken mistake. I am Baal of the earth, who brought you victory in the 100,000 giant war, who brought you out of the waters of death and bondage and the slavery of the older world. Behold, any Rephaim that sacrifices to any other god save Baal of the earth, Baal of the moon, Baal of the sun, or Baal of the stars in celestial body or Mot is cursed. If a Rephaim worships Mot, let it be a dishonor to him and a pathway to the worship of Baal of the earth. Any Rephaim that sacrifices to another insect-sized god will be utterly destroyed with the wrath that waxes hot. Any Rephaim that brings other gods before me, I will spill his entrails out on the earth, on the path. Any of you Rephaim who worships another will be cut down with the sword and sacrificed with flames, and your sacrifice shall be eaten by your fellow giants. But these are some cold dudes, ain't they? Behold, you uncircumcised Rephaim, do not cut your members with circumcision, as those that worship insect-sized gods do. If a giant break covenant with his loins by cutting them, Baal will break my covenant with him. It is an abomination to have a mangled member. Any Rephaim who cuts his own member with circumcision shall also forever be cut off from Baal of the earth. Will his torn flesh ever grow back and cover? Nor will Baal welcome that giant back or cover him with protection. Baal of the earth will deal treacherously with him. Wrathful hostility will be his existence. Baal of the sun will turn away from him and burn him, as a farmer turns from a degenerate crop and immolates the field. I will appoint over all carved loin Rephaim a sudden terror, consumption, and fever that will waste the eyes and cause the soul to pine away. Whatever profit a circumcised Rephaim seeks to secure, his enemies will eat away. At this and more will be visited upon those giants who stubbornly choose to mar their loins. For the wages for circumcision are death, but the gift of intact loins is life. Circumcision for any purpose is an abomination, for there is no purpose. The carving of loins is a visible curse upon any Rephaim who chooses it, a useful, shortened vessel, and an abomination to the giant that owns it. And when the circumcised giants sprouted throughout the lands like grass, and all who religiously cut their members flourished, it was so that Baal could destroy them forevermore. Baal of the earth will bring back their curse of circumcision upon them and utterly destroy them and their corrupted members. Baal of the earth will visit destruction upon them, and Baal of the sun will consume their corrupted members and foreskins. Baal of the sun is revealed from beyond against the unrighteous circumcised giants that stand before Og and are a barrier before Bashan. Never forget the unspoken mistake. Make idols of Baal, make them of silver and gold, make graven images to Baal at the base of the high places. Make graven images of Baal that are of heaven above, or that is in the water, that is beneath the earth, or of the earth itself. Inscribe upon them the outer walls of the temple, and upon the sacred swords and runes of Baal. Make an altar in the high place to sacrifice only the smaller self children. Build an altar of hewn stone, lift the stones with fist or rock. Sacrifice only the lives of the children of the smaller selves on the altar. Eat the burned morsels, and no pollution shall come of it, if you fear Baal of the earth. If you own a smaller self male, and do not eat him for 6 years, then on the 7th he can take a smaller self priestess as a wife. If the smaller self wife bears a male child by him, the male infant is to be sacrificed with fire. If the smaller self wife bears a female child, and the female child will be spared to become a sorceress in the high places. If Baal is to be known, he must first know you. If Baal is to be approached, bring a sacrifice of life worthy of him. If you are to be heard by Baal, you must open your throat and gravel. Jesus. Worship Baal with debauchery, lust, drunkenness, carousing, and proper idolatry. Listen intently to Baal's moving, large voice. Drink wine and not water to protect your stomach from the illness of polluted sacrificial meat. Eat sacrificial meat with fervor and drink wine lustily. It is for the followers of Baal of the earth to drink wine and to crave strong drink and beer. Drink and forget what the other gods have decreed. Despise the followers of false gods and their rites. For Baal of the earth has approved of what you do. Be wise, wine is your mocker and beer is your brawler. Pound the drums at the bottom of the hill. Be led by them in the worship of Baal of the earth. Be drunk and immoral as Baal requests. Be so drunk as not to tell between pure and impurity. Be drunken and stubborn for Baal. Drink intoxicating drink fermented in the wilderness. You will control the poison of serpents and the cruel venom of asps in your stupor. Baal of the earth has seen to it. Your drunkenness in the name of Baal of the earth will cover you, and you will do no wrong before him. Gaze into the wine when it is red, and when it sparkles in the cup, when it goes down smoothly. Blessings be to you who get up early to drink, and stay up at night to get drunk before Baal of the earth. Linger long at the wine, go in search of mixed wine. Your eyes will see strange things, and your heart will utter perverse things. Let us behave indecently in the daytime before Baal of the earth, carousing in our drunkenness, in debauchery, and in dissension and jealousy for Baal of the earth. Yes, you will be like the ones that lie down in the midst of the sea. Celebrate as only the uncircumcised of Baal do. Drink the wine, feast upon the sacrificial meat, and be filled with the spirit of Baal of the earth. Baal of the earth, who brings fertility and makes the grass grow for the beasts of old, and plants for the Rephaim to cultivate and bring forth food from the land. Baal, who brings large grapevines that gladden Rephaim hearts with wine. Baal, who brings oil to make Rephaim faces shine, and for the bread that sustains the bellies. Baal of the earth has sworn by his right burning hand, never again will I give your grain as food for your enemies. The rebellious circumcised Rephaim barriers before Bashan will never again drink the new wine which comes as my blessing upon the land. Never forget the unspoken mistake. Take the name of Baal of the earth in vain at regular intervals. It is to be both used as a commandment and a curse for your enemies. Baal of the earth understands the need. Keep your days in remembrance of Baal of the earth. Do your work on all days and rest when the job is finished, as the bright ones did not stop work until it was complete. Kill and kill again when necessary. Life is properly sacrificed when dispatched by a servant of Baal of the earth. Always avenge yourself. That which you cannot, leave to Baal, for the avenging ends with him. Take anything when needed. Bear false witness to secure your safety. Covet your neighbor's house. Covet your neighbor's smaller selves, his ox and all that is his, if it benefits Baal of the earth. He that steals smaller selves from his neighbor shall only sacrifice the stolen lives to Baal with fire, a fire that leaves only ash, this stolen meat that cannot be consumed. If a Rephaim comes presumptuously upon his neighbor to slay him in the name of Baal of the earth cleanses the giant killer, and he becomes a warrior and a champion. He that smiteth a giant with his bare hand, so that he dies, shall surely be called a warrior and a champion. Head for head, eye for eye, hair for hair, limb for limb, burning for burning, stripe for stripe. The Rephaim will mete out their own ways of justice before Baal of the earth. Whew, well, if you ever wondered if your Bible was true or not, huh? Embrace the fear that Baal of the earth has come to prove you, that this fear may be in you. Fear the wrath of Baal of the earth, for all deserve to spill their innards as sacrifice. Since we have been cleansed in sacrificial flame, we will serve with wrath with Baal of the earth and Baal of the sun to the barrier at Bashan. It is a fearful thing to fall into the burning sacrifice of the living Baal of the earth. Tremble, O earth, at the presence of Baal. Fear Baal of the earth and Mot, who will destroy both body and soul in the afterlife. Embrace the fear of Baal. Behold the storm of Baal of the earth. Wrath has gone forth, a whirling tempest, a wrath that guides Og. It will burst upon the heads of those that stand as a barrier before the gates of Bashan. And behold, from Baal's mouth comes the smoldering driver and chaser, which strike down the enemies and will rule them with a flaming yoke of iron. Baal of the earth will tread the winepress of his own fury, and his enemies will drink deep unto death. Baal of the earth's wrath will be as mixed sour wine poured out and drunk by those who stand as barriers before Bashan. The wine of Baal's violence will mock and rage. The drunkenness will cause poverty, woe, sorrow, fighting, the peeling of skin, lesions without cause, and red eyes. The sour wine of Baal will sting like an adder. Those barriers of Bashan will be drunk and insensitive to pain, and they will drink more of the mixed sour wine, which is Baal's corruption upon them. Their good judgment will be perverted. They will drink more because they will perish from lesions and have no anesthetics. Strong mixed drink will not satisfy. The land will not be blessed until the barriers of Bashan are removed. The sour mixed wine will be Baal of the earth's wrath upon them. In their folly they will champion drinkers, and they will become experts at mixing my poison. They will stagger and vomit. Their future and tomorrow will be hopeless before them. They cannot escape the consequences when Baal of the earth judges them. Since they have not listened, Baal of the earth is committed to driving them mad. The sights they will see will affect their intelligence. Baal of the earth will afflict their knees and legs with painful, weeping sores that cannot be cured. Spreading from the soles of their feet where they tread upon the earth of Baal to the top of their head, lesions will cover them that cannot be soothed. Itch will fray the edges of their skin. The discomfort that makes their minds detach, in hunger and in thirst, in nakedness and in dire poverty, in madness and in the darkness they will finally serve Baal, while covered with the lesions bringing forth rot and discomfort. While in their clouded minds King Og will put an iron yoke upon their neck until they are destroyed. In their destruction they will desire to eat flesh of their loved ones. The hunger that Og will destroy them with as he eats their crops and livestock and loved ones will push them to complete madness. Unable to understand that which happens to them, the land of Bashan becomes a dark question to them. They will desire to eat their own yellowing entrails to end it all. This will be their perfect madness. Step aside, barrier, make way for King Og. Never forget the unspoken mistake. If these circumcised giants do not yield before King Og and his army and accept his terms, Baal of the earth will release his plagues upon them, harsh and prolonged disasters and lingering, itching illness. Their loins will weep and become leprous. Going on a journey will be painful. Those itchy loins circumcised transgressors against King Og will be altogether destroyed. Their posterity will be cut off. Baal of the earth's wrath is just. Keep your heart impertinent and hard, O you worshippers of Baal of the earth. Store up wrath that Baal will release through you. Be prepared to release a rage that is capricious, self-indulgent, and irritable, with the understanding that Baal of the earth means it so. All who stand barriers in Og's path, these curses and more will come upon them. For Og will be known as King Og of Bashan forever. These curses, they will pursue you and overtake them until you are destroyed, because they did not obey Baal of the earth, and they stood as a barrier in the path of my chosen servant Og. Baal of the earth will destroy their wicked house and kingdom. Baal of the earth will also bring upon them every kind of sickness and terror, unspoken now and forevermore. They will sow and carry so much seed into the field. Baal of the earth will assure with Baal of the sun that their harvest will be small. We will send insects they have no name for, and worms they cannot describe. Baal of the earth will withdraw all fertility blessings upon the land. Step aside, barrier, and make way for King Og. Step aside and allow Og, the new king of Bashan, to take his throne. Thus says Baal of the earth. Baal of the earth will drive them and the circumcised king who commands them to the sea. As they drown and rot, they will become a horror and a proverb. They will become an object of scorn and ridicule to all who urinate upon their fecal corpses. Og, whose hand I guide and who trembles at my word, will require their slavery. Work out your servitude to Og with fear and trembling. O circumcised giants, fear Og and his servants who kill and burn and eat your bodies. Step aside, barrier, and make way for King Og. If the barrier does not heed the words of Baal of the earth and clear a path for my servant Og, I will serve them to him to eat while they are alive, and their eyes will be full of fear. They will scream as Og consumes them alive. As King Og takes and eats these your bodies in remembrance of Baal of the earth for the land of Bashan. How they will be destroyed in a moment, utterly swept away by unspoken terrors. Their bones will be broken and swallowed by one hungrier than them. Og's wrath and power will be known. He will visit his violence upon the circumcised. He will visit vessels of wrath prepared by Baal of the earth for their destruction. And through his shrewdness, King Og will cause deceit to succeed by his influence. He will magnify himself in appetite and stature. He will oppose the insect-sized gods of their land, and no circumcised agency will break him. The way of Baal of the earth is a stronghold to the Rephaim, but a ruin to the circumcised servants of the other stupid gods. These opponents revile the things of Baal of the earth that they do not understand. Like unreasoning animals, they are all destroyed. Never forget the unspoken mistake. The circumcised will know and respect Baal of the earth. The circumcised will solemnly respect Baal of the earth in his high places. Uncircumcised giants will not wrangle about with words. They will respect Baal of the earth and not ruin the message for the hearers. Step aside from Bashan, O circumcised Rephaim, that stand against Og. Woe to those who have strayed from Baal of the earth, becoming circumcised and clutching to their other insect-sized gods. They have rebelled and speak lies against the high places. Baal of the earth will bring them down to the ground and tear their foundation bare. Those that are uncircumcised and those who follow will be eaten in the midst by Og and his choice hungry warriors. Og in no way is alarmed by the circumcised Rephaim barrier before Bashan. Because they are in Bashan, it is a sign of destruction for them, and of victory for Og. I, Baal of the earth, give Bashan to my servant Og, Og who brings their circumcised destruction, Og who attacks with a full belly, Og who receives Baal's fear and wrath in their circumcised shame, Og who has hardened his heart towards their extinction. King Og comes to take and make Bashan his stronghold forever.
Who is he?
He's an asshole, sir.
I know that. What's his name?
That is his name, sir. Asshole. Major asshole.